chains that bind us within. So it's in that respect we speak of the skillfulness, and more particularly skillful, or the skillful in that they have hit on the exact thing that they need to work on to realize their aspiration for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. It's smart. It's so smart that in the course of pursuing that, what they achieve is their own full awakening. But they achieve that on the ticket of serving others. And not just on the ticket of serving others, but when they achieve that full awakening, they are themselves fully awakened to be fully beneficial to others. In terms of from their own side, there's nothing lacking, be that love, compassion, tolerance, understanding, wisdom, skillfulness, power, attendance, whatever. But for others to benefit from it, they have to come with the counterpart conditions. So that's how we speak of Buddhas as someone who has fulfilled both the aims of themselves and aims of others. Aims of others, not in the sense that now with their having attained enlightenment, all the rest could just slip. No. Aims of others in the sense that from their point of view, they would not lack anything to be of service, ultimate full service to others, be that understanding, insight, love, compassion, tolerance, etc. But for that to be delivered on others, others would have to have the conditions ready. So that's why there is a need for us to strive, even if there are myriads of Buddhas. But one Buddha more, it's a plus point for us, right? But that would only work if we strive. But it will only work if we strive, if we reach for the ring. The ring may be hanging there all throughout. Yet unless and until we reach to that, we cannot be pulled up. Likewise, taking the inspiration. So that's why we call Buddhas the unfailing guide, the Dharma, the Sangha, the unfailing company, and the Dharma that we cultivate within us, the actual refuge. So with that said, let's now come to the scene here in that sutra, Upayakausalya Sutra. Very interesting sutra. It has so many topics, so many what you call phases within it. Oh, it's so interesting. The scene starts in Shravasti town. There still exists a town by that name, which has ruins from Buddha's time. And that's the town, the Shravasti town. And the actual spot of the place is called Jetavan. It's Jeta Grove. Maybe there are trees there. And then the actual location is within the Anathapindat complex. So there Buddha was fully immersed in meditation, in inward meditation. It's called Nangdu Yangda Jo. Fully immersed in inward. And eventually he rises from that and he goes about the place. As he begins to rise up and move around, disciples took note of that and follow him. Eventually it grew into a couple of hundreds. As he was making the move with the disciples in that Jetavana, I'm setting the stage, okay? Use your imagination. Can you see the... Then comes a Bodhisattva, himself Bodhisattva, but maybe 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 he is acting out on his altruism to raise these questions. Not that necessarily he himself has those questions, all right? But he may be acting it out for the sake of others, and he raised these questions. We have heard Bodhisattvas to be skillful, skillful, skillful. What ways are they skillful? It should be very clear to himself. He himself is not just a Bodhisattva, but a Mahasattva. Bodhisattva, Mahasattva. Mahasattvas are relatively more advanced. So he asked Buddha, how do you account for Bodhisattvas being skillful? Oh, then Buddha says, oh, yeah, definitely. Actually, this Bodhisattva, Geshe La, which means Jnanasar, I think, Jnanasar. Actually, he first says, I have some questions and I would only relate to you only if you are willing to answer. So polite. Of course, I will not only answer, I will fully satisfy you with my answers. Come on, come, give vent to your questions. That's how Buddha responds. And he says, oh, I have heard Bodhisattvas being qualified as skillful, not just one time, several times. How in the world are they skillful? The Buddha says, what did you say? How in the world? Then Buddha says, oh, Bodhisattvas are so skillful that even if practically they are giving just a crumb of bread to one person, but they are doing it in such a way that that act affects all sentient beings. That act covers all sentient beings. Then he asks, how come? The crumb of bread is going to only one person, not to all of them, but how come that act covers everyone? Oh, Buddha says, because of two reasons, because of two causes. First, he does just about all of his acts out of bodhicitta, out of the aspiration to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, irrespect. So, including that act of giving a crumb of bread to one single person, he does that within bodhicitta frame of mind. So it's not, oh, he needs something, you give. Or you always say, I must give, otherwise people will say something to me. Or say, oh, this is just useless, let me just let go of this. Not with any of those thoughts, but with aspiration to attain Buddhahood. So conjoined with that, rooted in that kind of a mentality, he acts out. And he doesn't leave at that. Once he has engaged in that action, he makes sure that he dedicates it for the sake of all sentient beings again. First, he engaged in that act out of bodhicitta, out of not just a sense of caring for others, but sense of caring in the ultimate sense of being smart in choosing nothing short of Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. And out of that sense, he engages in that act. Once he has executed that act, he makes sure that it doesn't go waste. He dedicates it. It's like earmarking it. You make a big deal about earmarking some funds, right? But earmarking merits is good. But of course it will make a difference in terms of how, where, to what end do you earmark it. You earmark it for Buddhahood. If you earmark it for Buddhahood, for the attainment of Buddhahood, it is such a skillful means in that the benefit of that, the interest earned from that, will not be exhausted. It is not time limited. All it takes is the mental strength, the mental skillfulness of choosing that or clicking on that. Although it may be not that easy for us to say how mind works, but to a certain extent we can understand. Supposing we are preparing for exam. If we are preparing for exam and working so hard and then say, and all we are geared at, all we are focused on is examination, then we will make all out effort in learning, and we will do well in the examination. Once the examination is over, you lose it. That's because right from the very beginning, you have aimed at just that, not beyond that. That's how mind is supposed to work. To the point of doing something conjoined with bodhicitta or any lesser intention. So smart is that. You have to engage. You are engaging in it. Why not do it in the best possible, smartest way? After all, we are all after smart things. May or may not be the actual smart, but something labeled as something built as smart is what we are all after. Smartphones, smart watches, smart whatnot. But these smart devices, if we are too reliant on them, that could make us dumb. Fully reliant on them. So that's it. Besides that, so that's what makes difference. Any act they do, to do that with the bodhicitta frame of mind. And then, when you generate bodhicitta and develop it to the level of genuine, spontaneous growth, it is amazing. It would have no difficulty whatsoever in rejoicing in the good works of others, irrespective. Whereas that's not the way we go about our life. We may be two people helping out on one project, but we do not like each other in helping it. It's so silly, right? That's the reason. That may or may not be the whole picture, but how I read is, one may be seen as helping that fully, but attached with that is some kind of interest, self-interest. Because that is not fully giving. It is not all out. It is, as you say, it is some strings are attached to it. So usually we do things and then we undo them. We give for one project. We say, oh, this is what I like. But when somebody gives, oh, I don't like him giving. Why is joining here? If you are really intending, really making the, then every help should be welcome. But that's not our way. Bodhisattvas. That's the reason where this question comes, that Bodhisattvas are usually seen as someone who have chosen to stay within us. That is, they have already decided that it is attaining the Buddhahood the quickest possible, the best choice. But if, in the event, if at all situation happens such that it would be better off for them to slow down on their progression, and that could benefit others more, they are fully committed to that. So that's what references in the scriptures are referring to. But to ordinarily slow down, to ordinarily delay their achievement of Buddhahood would be very silly. But from the strength of their altruism is such that, the strength of their altruism is such that even if it takes for them to slow down their full awakening, and that by doing so they are going to bring more benefit to others, they are fully willing. There will be not an iota of doubt there. So Bodhisattvas, within that sense of full giving, but full giving not in a very, simplistic, submissive, passive, not taking responsibility kind of way. No, not in that sense. If need be, they can stand up for a cause. Not just stand up, but stand up with a difference. They can go all length, but with full clarity that they maintain the altruistic attitude within them, and what they do see is promoting that. So within that kind of a mentality, there will be no such, no such sense of unease at others chipping in. Instead, they will be fully rejoicing in it, fully welcoming it. And in the wake of welcoming and receiving, rejoicing, not only they themselves feel good, although feeling good is not what they want. They are fully ready to even feel very bad, if at all that's helping others. But because of the strength of bodhicitta, all the acts of others will be welcoming. And in the course of doing that, they would have no difficulty but to rejoice in them. And by rejoicing it, not only they enjoy, they have a good time, they enjoy, but with that, they add on their spiritual, we could say, they add on their spiritual resources, spiritual maturity, spiritual strength. So, with that kind of a mentality, they can even outsmart others very easily. Say a bodhisattva happens to have nothing to kind of to part with. Say they don't have anything to part with. And they are, say sometimes it can be possible that someone would be fully smart in really embarking on bodhicitta frame of mind, yet be physically or economically or even academically nowhere close to anyone. And say maybe possessing nothing, whereas there is someone who is rich, whatnot, and can be giving things, not just once, twice, thrice, every day. And there can be others who will be receiving it and appreciating it. And that act is also accounting for some goodness. But the Bodhisattva, no matter how willing, how wishing to do likewise, because of the condition may not be, but in their strength of rejoicement, in their strength of welcoming, in their strength of rejoicing, in their strength of in their strength of agreement, in their strength of welcoming it, rejoicing in it, they outsmart all three of them, or they outsmart the giver without bodhicitta. They outsmart the receiver with some sense of rejoicement, appreciation, but without any tinge of bodhicitta. The mental strength they gain, the mental strength, the mental positivity they gain from their bit of rejoicing, from their bit of engaging in that action, doesn't even come close to what bodhisattvas achieve from their rejoicement. Through their rejoicement. When you rejoice within, from within. With that kind of a rejoicement, all-out rejoicement, it adds to the spiritual strength within you. One becomes more spiritually healthy, altruistically healthy, smarter, refined, flexible. So they are smart. Not just that. With that kind of a... It's already 9. I'm just joking. Yes, thank you. Okay. Is it 8:45? Yes, it is. Thank you. Yeah. Not just that. With their sense of, what do you call, allowing, accepting, giving, of course, conjoined with, tinged with wisdom, smartness, intelligence, in terms of acting out the way they need to. That would be the most sensible way. But making sure all through that they do not lose out on that mentality, integrity. Just about everything they see can be made use of. There's so many flowers out there unowned by people. So many fragrances there that nobody exerts ownership and don't know what to do with them. Bodhisattvas are smart enough to go out to them and make offerings out of them. In the depth of their appreciation for the kindness of others, in the depth of their sense of affinity with the sentient beings of their struggle and whatnot, in the depth of their appreciation of the Bodhisattvas, the Buddhas, other Bodhisattvas and Buddhas, they can't help but feel inspired to make gifts. When we make gifts, it's not necessarily always the case that the other person needs it. No. Sometimes we can be so, so filled with a sense of appreciation, so filled with a sense of gratitude, that we will be willing to make gift out of just about anything. The Bodhisattvas feel the same, but they do not run out of things to make gifts of. All those things that are unowned make a wonderful offering. And with that kind of offering, they grow in their spiritual. They are engaging in a mental act of giving, of appreciating, of making a gift out of something. And then the world of fragrance, the world, of course, not fragrance just for what they are, but fragrance, the world of fragrance that's out there, they are used as a symbol to symbolize the fragrance of morality, the fragrance of wisdom, the fragrance of ethical discipline, practice. Likewise, they would have, with this wealth of genuine altruistic, spontaneous feeling, they would hardly run out of any creativity, any creative means of kind of making sense of just about anything, and in their mind transform it into worthy objects of offering. We make offerings out of that. So that's one way of skillfulness. Wow. Wow. Did you get it? Wow. When the Bodhisattvas see people thriving, succeeding, doing well, every news is a welcome news. Nothing pricks them, nothing hurts them. Oh, somebody, what? Somebody made to the top. I'm feeling some pain here. No. Bodhisattvas don't have that. We are not that skillful. We give into anger, jealousy. We even kind of treasure them. Anger, jealousy, greed. We keep them in safe. and then use them every now and then, right? And use them in such a way that we don't part with them. We keep them, multiply them. When we use them, we will multiply them. Every time we engage in them, their stronghold is strengthened. So not every good news is necessarily good news for us. On the contrary, sometimes when we hear somebody has done something awfully wrong, we say, good, right? Ooh, what kind of appreciation is that? That is an expression of nothing but anger, animosity, jealousy. With every expression, mental expressions are such that the more you express, the more rooted they become. They are also subject to change, but change through a persistent training. So love and compassion, if we persistently train in engaging in cultivating it, the more we become. Likewise, the more we give in to anger, jealousy, greed, the more cemented they become. It's like pouring water on a cement concrete. They become stronger. They become familiarized. They become meditated upon. And we become master meditators on anger, jealousy, greed, confusion, whatnot. But for the Bodhisattvas, all they wish is good for others. And good not just of one limit or another limit, good of the ultimate limit. They have generated this wish and wish to attain nothing short of full awakening for the sake of others. By the way, when I say the wish to attain enlightenment for the sake of others, just as I care to present early on in terms of the Buddhist worldview, and which I also remembered to say that that is no less relevant today. It's important to know how it is possible. That's very important. It has to make a logical sense that such thing is possible. But tonight we don't have that time. But definitely we have to have time of, I don't know how to, I should get someone's help in capturing it on the caption. But we would have to have one or two separate sessions on how Buddhists make case for so-called liberation, so-called omniscience. They need to be tackled, otherwise they become mere fanciful thought. Pardon? Tushita? No. It's not Tushita out there. It's a Tushita within. But how that's possible? That needs to be. So, but yeah. So, what they are aspiring for is the best for others, and there's no limit to the best that they aspire for. Buddhahood, having wished to attain Buddhahood, to work, push until Buddhahood, and even binding themselves to the commitment by taking Bodhisattva vow. So by doing that, all they aspire is the best for others. Not necessarily what looks best. That's not the case. They are smart. Something may not look good, but could be the best. Although that's very rare. Not that often. Don't get scared. But since all they wish is the best for others, and the best that they wish is the smartest one, to push for nothing short of full awakening, which means anything else that they need to do, they will be. It goes without doubt that would be definitely what they would want to do. But they go beyond. So when anything comes in the way of helping someone, anything comes in the way of achievement, not with the Bodhisattva's effort, but their own effort of others, that's more than welcome. So they would have no other option or no other choice or no other tendency to react or respond to that, but with rejoicement. So, being Bodhisattva is so smart that achievement of everyone is a joy for himself or herself. That's not necessarily the case with us. Sometimes achievement of others hurts us. That's what speaks for their smartness, their skillfulness. Again, as usual, very typical of Geshe Dadul, I'm not done. Very typical of Geshe Dadul, I'm not done with the topic. The time is gone. And the reason for that skillfulness is nothing but love, compassion. Bodhicitta, to flower in the way it does, has to have a strong grounding in love and compassion. Love and compassion, infinite love and compassion, can only thrive only when we have laid the ground of loving ourselves. We need to know how to love ourselves. We may claim, everyone would claim, I love myself. But in terms of what you do to love you, I drink 10 cups of coffee to love myself. That's not loving. That's not loving. No, that's not. That cannot pass for loving. Can it pass for loving? I don't think so. 10 cups of coffee? No. What else? I let myself to be angry to that person. I'm feeling justified. That's what I let myself to be. Is it loving? And from a Buddhist perspective, from the worldview, that this is just a journey, part of the journey, and it's in one's hand whether how to direct one's journey, whether it becomes circular bondage to afflictions and the actions induced by them, or it could become eventually a breakage from the bondage into freedom, into liberation, or into omniscience. It's in one's hand. What are we doing? If we really love ourselves, we should be doing something that contributes to that, not just this, spiraling. If we look inside and see what we are doing, how we are contributing to that, we would see how loving we are to ourselves. If we don't love ourselves in the true sense, in the most sensible way, then loving others in the sensible way would be far off. Off the hook. I'm just joking, okay? I don't know what it means. But I was sure that it would definitely generate laughter, so it did. But but loving is so important. And loving, as I said, the Beatles, they sang a song, right? All we need is love. They said it out loud for everyone to know, even the lyrics, whatnot, but we're not any step closer, an inch closer in really loving ourselves, and really seeing love is all that needs. By the way, I learned that in Greek philosophy, they speak of how many loves? No, not 3, more than that. Yeah. 6, 7, 8 of them. Wow, it's interesting. See, I'll be definitely touching on that. All we need is love. Look for that, okay? A caption, all we need is love. Under that, I'll cover this. So interesting. But basically what I'm saying is, love is crucial. But love, not merely the level of it is enough. Love in and out. We should know how to love. Beginning with loving oneself, and then going out into loving others. Then facilitating that quality of love with wisdom, understanding, intelligence. So see what comes out of that. From a Buddhist point of view, bodhicitta would be the natural logical output. Even if not in the bodhicitta form, but it would be surely a much sensible way of relating to oneself and others and spending one's time while on this globe. Everyone has a limited time. While on this globe in a sensible way. In this respect, I cannot help but conclude this session by quoting where is that? Quoting from the Corinthians. Wow, it's amazing. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Begin with self-love to others' love, generating, crystallizing into bodhicitta, which then eventually be realized in the Buddhahood. With this note, we stop here.